Hello, hello friends. Today I am taking this very basic class for a beginner arthroscopist. How you need to start your practice and what are the equipments and what are the basic instruments that you should have to start your journey or career in arthroscopy. So arthroscopy is basically a very highly instrument dependent branch as compared to any other branch because everything you will do will be depending on the instruments that you have, and you should have a good understanding of equipment and instrumentation using those things. So basic things, if you see, one is the basic trolley. So that trolley consists of camera and the light source. Now this is a thing which may be available at many corporate or multi-specialty hospitals, and you might not need to purchase them always, but still it is better to have a gross understanding about the camera and the light source and the specifications. So camera, basically you can have a camera which is sort of a low fashion single chip cameras. The more advanced version are the triple chip cameras. Then you have the HD version, and then recent advances are 4K and 7K versions. For the arthroscopy per se, you don't need anything which is very lavish, but I would suggest something of a triple chip to HD will be a good sort of camera if you want to have it with you, and that will give you a good resolution and good images for arthroscopy point of view. It is more specific important if you are doing more shoulders, but because if you are doing more shoulder, you will be needing a better camera vision. Now, what are the good camera systems which are available? So you have an option of good systems which are in Striker. So if you are thinking about Striker, you can go about the initial versions were 1188, 1288, 1488, 1588 and 1688. So right now what Striker is marketing is 1688, and that is equivalent to 4K. It's quite expensive, and if you get some older versions like 1488 or 1288 also, they will give you a good resolution. So if you want to have an economic shortage, you can go with 1288 or 1488 also, then they will be reasonable good resolution. If you are thinking about Smith & Nephew, so they have an older system which is called as a Gen XT, and which is now revised to lens, which we have, and this is an HD system, and it is now you have a higher version of lens 4K. Again, a very good system. Lens has got a very good resolution. You can have a very good resolution with that. Similar systems are now available with Arthrex. Then if you are doing something in multi-specialties, you will have an Image1 system from stores. That is also a very good system, and Image1 is again an HD system. And then they have a 4K system also. So Olympus is a good system, so anything is good. So this is about camera. But if you want to have something handy and something which is transportable, then stores here is an advantage. So you can have a store single chip camera or a triple chip camera, which is a handy system. You can take it in your bag, go about more robust. Because if you want to get these heavy systems and you wanted to do a place-to-place practice or a roaming practice, it will become difficult because very delicate instrument and they can break. So if you want to do a more sort of a roaming practice, then it is better to have a simple single chip or a 3-chip camera stores. That is usually sufficient. Now light source, again most of the companies will give you a light source, like if you want to have a light source of stores, light source of Smith & Nephew, Arthrex, whatever. But the important thing is, if you are in cost constraint, you don't have to spend a lot on light source. Even a regular light source which is made by a local company will give a very good resolution. So if you use supposedly a Striker system and you use a local light source, and if you use a Striker light source, the difference will not be much. So you can use a standard local light source. Now the light source nowadays are two types. One is a LED and xenon. So I would recommend an LED light source. Why LED? Because xenon is basically a thermal energy producing light source, And if you use xenon light source for a higher duration of time at a high uh, exposure, it can have a negative effect on your light cables. Okay, so xenon I would not recommend. It's a costlier one, but this is more useful in cases of abdominal surgeries. For scopy, LED light sources usually sufficient, and they will give you a good resolution. By and large, LED light sources are good, and you don't need to spend a lot on light source per se. Okay, any questions so far for camera and light source? Okay, 3D cameras are also available, but again, it is not very much accepted in arthroscopy. It's again more of role in abdominal surgeries. So basically in 3D they have 0 degree double barrel scopes. So you will have a 3D vision. So again not in scopy. So 3D is not for us. Basically. So standard I would recommend an HD for today, up to a 4K. If you are not constrained in economics, you can have a 4K scope, or you can have an HD scope at least. So you will HD camera system. So that will usually make your things easy. Okay. Then comes the shaver. So shaver is your specific system. So most of the multi-specialty hospitals or corporate hospitals where other specialties were, they will not have a shaver. So again, you can have shavers of different company, but you need to have a shaver system which has got a good RPM. So the good shaver systems are again Stryker, which has got the core console, very good RPM, very good function. Then you have the Smith and Nephew system, that is also very good. Then you have Arthrex system, that is also very good. So anything which is more suitable in your local area, provides good service, you can have a shaver. But this is one thing that you should have with you also. So sometimes if you are working in multi-specialties, you may have camera light source available and you may have to purchase shaver on the floor. So that is one thing. Then again, radio frequency will be rarely available in hospitals. So radio frequency is basically a cautery which is can be used in water. So it's an underwater cautery also, but some people call it. But the mechanism of action is different because it secretes the radio frequency waves and it sort of coagulates the tissue. So it controls the bleeding. So very important if you want to do shoulder. If you want to do knee, you can still spare it. But if you want to do shoulder scopy, specifically you want to do rotator cuffs, then this is a must. You cannot do without an RF. So RF again, usually the three good systems are from, that is vapor system from Johnson, Deppey Johnson. Then you have an Arthrocare system from Smith and Nephew, and the third one is from Arthrex. So these are the three main RF systems which are available in the market. And then you have a probe. So if you are talking about vapor system, it has two types for 50 degrees and 90 degrees. So the probe, the angle of the probe is different, and the energy it secretes on the top is different. So again, you can have different types of probe, the 50 degree, 90 degree, and then you have a curved probe, which is a cutting probe. So it's a hook probe, which is called. So this hook probe is very good if you want to do a abrasive capsulitis release or something release you want to do. So then you can have a curved probe. Okay. And then comes the arthroscope. Again, this is something that you would need to purchase most of the times. It is recommended that surgeon should carry his own or her scope unless it is provided by the hospital. So again, scope, usually the scope sizes that we need is 4 millimeters, and the options that you have is 0, 30, 45 and 70. So only which scope we are using in our practice? 4 mm is the standard scope that we use for shoulder and knee, but which degree?
70.
No.
30.
Yes, so 30 degree is the most commonly used scope. Why? Why you don't use a 0 degree scope? Why do you don't use a 70 degree scope? More common. We use it occasionally, but not as a common scope.
So the surface that we are working on.
So the advantage is 0 degree will have a end on vision. So this is a 0 degree scope. This will see this straight vision. So if you have observed, so if you turn the scope like this, you change the vision. So in 30 degrees, the vision is like this, Okay, so you will have, जैसे इसमें this vision is like this vision is like this. You have a broader vision. So by turning this area, you will have a broader area of coverage. ठीक है? So by rotating the light source, you can see more place. So if you put a scope at one place, you will be able to see a broader area just by rotating the light source cable. So that is the advantage of 30 degrees. Okay. So then 70 degree will have more area of vision.
But so the center part of the black spot.
So center point will be blank. So 70 degree scope mein what will happen is if you use a 70 degree scope like this, so it will see here, and if you turn it, it will see here. So there will be a center blind spot. So the vision is more, but you will not be able to see in the center. जो end on view आपको 0 degree मिलता है, वो इसमें आपको नहीं मिलेगा. So that is why 70 degree scope is not popular, because that will confuse you if you use it on a regular patient. So if you see that, because you will not be able to see in the front. ठीक है. So that is why 70 degree scope is not popular. So where do you use it?
So shoulder.
Shoulder में rarely we use it where?
Mainly for
You can use it for subscap in shoulder. The best indication for hip, because hip you have a very tight space. So this is your hip, and this is your acetabular. So you are going in like this, ठीक है? And you need to see in this area. So if you don't have a 70 degree scope, you will not have vision in here, because very tight space you are going in, and then you have to see in the center. So very tight space, you need to move into the corners or the tight spaces. So that for that 70 degrees is very important. So hip scopy, central compartment specifically, we use a 70 degrees.
70 degrees.
Okay. A new addition to this is 45 degrees. It is again a good scope, not much of a blind spot. It has a center blind point basically, and more wider vision than 30 degrees. So nowadays 45 degree scope is also becoming popular. You can use it in some cases, but the most of the time, if you ask me one scope, I don't want to purchase only one scope, so then it is 4 mm 30 degrees. One scope, most of your surgeries, routine knee, shoulder scope is you will be able to do. Now scope, again you can have many companies, so you can have options of like Scopes mold. The main scope is basically scopes were invented in Germany, and still Germans are the pioneers in scopes. So you will have mostly German companies who are there, but if you want to have good MNC scopes, then you can have Strikers, within a few Arthrex, and for German specifically you can have Stores, Schollys, and a few other Olympus. Olympus is Japanese, but basically these are more the scope. The most important thing is handling, because this is the most delicate part of your system. I would recommend that if you have a scope, if you purchase a scope of your own, at least in the initial period you should take care of scope yourself, because this is one thing which is very breakable. It will break and it will get high maintenance as compared to any other of your instruments, because it's a very delicate, it's basically a very delicate thing. So if it falls down, it will break. Suppose if you are doing scopy and some instrument shaver touches the tip, it will break. So very delicate. So take care of your scope. That is very important. The important things is the scope is made up of lenses. So what is important is that there is a lens on the tip. There is a lens which is there into this thing, and then there is a lens here. So multiple lenses. So it's a very delicate sort of a thing. If this lens is damaged, this lens is damaged, this lens is damaged, one lens is damaged, the system is gone, and it is not repairable. Most of the times, if the scope is gone, it is not repairable. You don't have many options or many experts who can repair scopes. So this is one thing you should handle with a very delicate care. Okay, any questions so far?
Sir, shaver system, we have the shavers available, the shaver blade we use, different companies.
Yes.
Like and sometimes the cost is problem for like Arthrex blade only if you have Arthrex shaver system.
So all these blades are specific to the the system console per se. So striker blades will fit into striker blades, Smith & Nephew will blade into Smith & Nephew system, Arthrex will fit into Arthrex. So that is why you should have a system which the service is good and they will give you a better service basically. So more a rep which is more happy to serve you. So that is important. So they are specific. As far as specification is concerned, we normally recommended a 4.5 millimeter shaver blade, the diameter. For small joints, we use 2.5 and 3.5 mm blades. So if you are using a wrist copy, if you are doing an ankle, you may use a 2.5, 3.5 spokes. So otherwise, most of the times we are using 4.5 mm shaver blades. If you are doing a hip scope, you can have a curved shaver blade. So you have a curved shaver blade option because you have to go in like this. So for hip, we use a curved shaver blade option. And then in visor burr or a conical burr or a spherical burr. So different types of burrs are available. So shaver connections where you have the burr also. Okay? Clear so far? Okay. Then comes the important part of the hand instruments. What are the hand instruments and what are the basic hand instruments that you should have? Hand instruments are basically the instruments which are like punches or graspers or holders, retrievers, which you want. So basic hand instruments that you must have is, one is a grasper, that you should have one grasper you should have in your set, and then meniscus punches. So nowadays we are doing very less of meniscectomies. So I think if you have only one punch with you, a curved up biter, that is usually sufficient, small size, that is usually sufficient. We are not recommending meniscectomies nowadays. So you don't want to have a large number of meniscus punches. A single punch, curved up biter is usually sufficient. Okay. Then you should have instruments which are specific for your repairs. Like you should have a retriever, you should have a knot pusher, helpful in both knee surgeries and shoulder surgeries. So these are the other hand instruments that you have. Again, they are coming in with very different sort of companies. All companies have it, and it depends on which company you are more comfortable with. So that you can have hand instruments from that particular company. Now, special instruments are like suture passing instruments. So if you are using like instruments like penetrators, sixters, retrievers, and then you can have the antegrade suture passing. So you can have antegrade and retrograde suture passing. Antegrade is you put it, grab it the tissue and then fire a needle. So you have like a scorpion from Arthrex, and it's a knee version like a knee scorpion, a smaller version. Same Smith & Nephew has a first pass and a mini first pass, and almost all companies have, like Stryker has it, Depot has it, whatever. So that is one type of passing, and the other is the other direction. So the retrograde suture passer. So you can have penetrators, sixters, bird beaks. So these are different instruments which you penetrate and pass suture and come out. So these are the other special instruments that you have, more useful in shoulder, but also now useful in knee because we are doing a lot of meniscus repairs with that. So knee scorpion is one of these instruments which is very useful. Okay. And then comes your set, basic set, like an ACL set. Now ACL set, you don't need to spend a lot of it because the indigenously built sets are almost the same as the imported sets. So if you don't need, you can have a standard set, Showcase or something like that. It's a good set. You have all the reamers, all the jigs and everything. So with this set, you need one ACL set. So the ACL set will consist of the jig. With all the attachments, you need to have a femur, tibia, and you need to have one offset. Then you need to have bead pins and different size of reamers, and then you have microfracture alls in the set, and different size of like other instruments like passing instruments, pointers, and things like that. So basic set, you can have a indigenous set that is usually sufficient. No need to spend a lot on the set like imported set. Anything else so far? For shoulder, again you need to have one set for shoulder dedicated, which includes the retrograde suture passing instruments, scorpion or a first pass, something like that, and knot pushers, retrievers, things like messenger rod, and for with scope, that is also important. Every scope has its dedicated sheath. So if you are using a Smith and Nephew scope, you need to have a Smith and Nephew Trocar. So dedicated, every company has its dedicated sheath. So that is also important. So usually there are 3 to 4 versions. So one is a Smith and Nephew type. So you have a Smith and Nephew. Then Striker has its own. Then Arthrex has its own. And then many scopes are compatible with Storz sheath. So then Storz, Schollys, I think Olympus, they are almost same with the sheath, that Storz sheath. So that is the sheath part. And then the special instrument, sometimes you are using some specific anchor, then the set comes with that. So that anchor specific drill bits or anchor specific the company one will supply, whatever anchor you are using, you will be getting that particular drill bits or jigs. That's it. I think we are done.
Yes.